Hey, doing this on the run for my boy Drew, Divine Family. You know, he asked me what's one of the best lessons in life I've learned, or if I could give advice on one thing. A couple of things. I'm gonna hit it. One thing and two things. Number one, love God with all your heart, soul, your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. In doing these things, not only you fulfilled all the commandments, man, you can't treat nobody wrong when you're loving yourself. And when you're loving yourself, you can love everybody else. Number two, vengeance belongs to God. And what I mean by that is, it says he's a jealous God. Why is he jealous? Because God knows how to pay back people way better than you do. And normally when we pay back somebody, we end up in jail, or we end up in prison, or something worse. We got to reap that karma back. You know, life is full of sowing seeds. Your harvest of doing good doesn't mean it's going to come back from the person you did good. It's simply a seed process. You don't know when that seed's going to grow. You don't know when that seed's going to spring up. But a harvest always comes for you of good. So don't be out there sowing a bunch of bad and don't expect bad to come back. But be out there sowing a bunch of good, like Drew is, and good things. Congratulations on reaching over 50,000 people, Drew. That's major. That's major. I'm loving it. Continue the good work. I told you. You keep doing the good things you're doing, God's hands of blessings going to be upon you. Thanks. I hope it helps.
Hi. Drew asked me to make a video on the biggest lesson of my life, but I feel like I've had a lot of lessons in my life, and so I would say for yourself, and the royal yourself, the royal you, the biggest lesson is to always root for yourself. Even when times are difficult, hard, and what have you, you should always be fighting for yourself and pushing past the things that you think you can't do, but you can. The more effort you put into something, the better it'll come. And, you know, also, sometimes things don't work out either, but you got to let yourself win and you got to let yourself lose. Yeah, I think that's it.
The biggest life lesson I've learned so far is when someone tells you who they are, believe them the first time.
The biggest lesson I've learned in life is trust the path, trust the journey, regardless of how bumpy and how windy and how crazy it might seem. You always have to trust yourself. Trust that the universe knows what it's doing for you. Because the more you believe, the better it gets.
So my biggest life lesson so far has pretty much been this. So there is kind of a hierarchy, a dynamic that exists within society. It's rooted in secrecy, power, fear, power over other people. And so many times people that are functioning in that wavelength in life, they will really try to pull you into it. So if you are innocent, if you stand out, if you glow, you know, if you bring out the best in yourself and you bring out the best in others, you eventually will come to a point where you're visible, right? So what happens when you become visible? Well, you become a really easy target from people who operate from that place of fear. So it can happen anywhere. It can be in your friend group, your family, it can be at work. And once you get that visibility, there's going to be people who are going to try to push you down. Sometimes not really out of necessarily trying to hurt you, but just thinking, you know, well, I couldn't achieve that, so you can't either. And that's just so untrue. So, you know, people will say things to hurt you. People will maneuver situations out of your favor. People will say things to interfere with your growth. Like, you know, I don't think that's a good idea for you. I tried that. I failed at it, whatever. So what I've learned is that outdated system, it does not require your participation. When people do this to you, you do not have to defend yourself. You don't have to engage, because the moment that you choose to defend, you have consented to playing that game with them. So stay rooted, stay steady, stay yourself. Learn to be so strong that those harsh words or actions that come at you just pass through you like bullets through smoke. Power is not dominance, power is balance. So true power, I believe, is achieved by balancing your needs with the needs of others. It's about doing things that are good for you, also doing things that are good for others. So in 2024, just kind of giving a little bit of backstory as to like how I learned that lesson was, I was in a situation, I was completely broke. I was just going through a really hard time, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to completely change my career. I'm going to change the course of my life. And I found something that I liked, and I said, I'm going to come here and I'm going to take my income from 2024 and I'm going to double it. Everybody told me that was stupid. People were saying, even my partner's mom was like, only the top 1% achieve that. 90% of people fail at that. That's too hard. Be realistic. That's not stable. You need to make smaller goals. And at the time, I had a lot on my plate. I was going to school full time. I was finishing my degree. I was learning a new career. I was still working a second job just for a backup plan in case it didn't work out. Trying to maintain my relationships, and then took on a leadership position within that company. It was just very overwhelming overall. But every time that people told me, you're not capable, this is a bad idea, I was just like, they don't know me well enough. Have I ever done something like this before? No. Have I ever proven to myself that I can do this? No. But within my first month in the field, I actually broke a record for the whole agency that was set 5 years before I ever got there. Within 1 month, I went in there, broke their record, and just shattered my own reality. I couldn't even believe that I did it, Not only did I break it, I surpassed it. And I did end up doubling my income. So eventually, in my leadership position, I did begin mentoring others, and I was able to empower others to produce amazing results as well. So that success, it did bring visibility for me, but visibility brings resistance. So I had a choice. Eventually it was either engage in a power struggle or just withdraw myself entirely. So even some of the people that I trusted, they were caught up in that dynamic, and there was just betrayal. Not necessarily betrayal, but just they weren't able to root for me or be there for me in the way that they were supposed to be. So overall, I was very disappointed, but I realized something else, I deserve better. I deserve a place where I don't have to rely on power dynamics or play in anybody else's game, right? So I had mentored one person, and they actually told me, they were like, if you're thinking about taking a leap of faith, take a leap of faith. There's no safer place to be than in the hands of God. And I was like, wow, that was really wise. So I did it. I took a leap, and that leap actually led me into a more favorable situation, which I didn't even believe was possible. So basically the lesson here is, when you decline to participate in those fear-based dynamics, life does reward you. Your energy says, I refuse to play your game, and you create space for something bigger. So my motto is this: I don't follow rules because I don't play games. It's really easy to try to beat somebody at their own game, to try to defend, to fight back. But the real strength in this lesson is not playing at all. So yeah, that's my biggest life lesson.
Hello, good morning, afternoon, evening, depending on which sphere of time you may be seeing this message. I want to give a big shout out to Drew. Thank you for doing what you do, being who you are, and asking the questions that really matter, such as, what is the greatest lesson that I personally have learned while being alive during this time on this planet? It is this: we do not get to choose the hand that we are dealt. We don't even get to decide or have any say in whether we play the game or not. By default, if you are alive and you are hearing this message, you are in it. You are in the game. You were dealt a hand. And the true power comes from knowing what you can and cannot affect. For we have no say in what hand or cards we are dealt in this life, in this game. But we have, by all means, every power invested in us to choose how to play that hand and how to respond to that which we have no control of or over. May you all be blessed, and may you play your hands to the best of your ability.
All right, what's the biggest lesson that I've learned in life? I think the biggest lesson that I've learned is they're gonna judge you anyways. So do what makes you happy, be around the people that make you whole, and never question your worth, because only you can see that. And then once you see that, everybody around you starts seeing it too. That's the biggest lesson I've learned.